Welcome to the first official episode of 10 Times and Hard Stuff. Excuse the wind. Today, we are going to hopefully a 10-mile loop. It's up by the Pingree Park area and the Poudre Canyon, or near the Poudre Canyon. This area that I'm hiking through right now used to be the campground. It's windy. Used to be very popular, called a place called Jack's Gulch Campground. And I'm hiking on the road. There's the main road. It actually goes back. This fence here is the end of the campground. But this was all destroyed as part of the Cameron Peak fire that started miles the other direction. So this main road keeps going back. This is the first area I ever went camping in by myself at 18. I would drive all the way back to where we're going today. So one thing's been on my mind these past couple weeks, something to go over for this very first video, and I think that topic fits very, very well. That topic is God's steadfast love. Sometimes steadfast love is also translated as loving kindness, but there are a multitude of meanings that can be put behind it using the original Hebrew text. And there are a couple of them that stand out really, really well, especially out here. I wanted to try to incorporate on this hike. Yeah, this area was the eastern part of the boundary for the Cameron Peak fire. So it was pretty burnt. And that Cameron Peak fire happened back in 2020, same time as COVID happened. Just as COVID was getting bad and everybody was starting to panic. So it's going to be interesting to come all the way back through on this road to see what it's like now. I've only been back to the end of this road and the start of the trail once. So hopefully I can do that. If all goes well today, I will be going up that way. Should be another 5 miles. And then I'll hit a meadow area. And it comes around these mountains. On the other side of these mountains, it's going to link back up to this trail. Come out here, and then I'll have more 4-wheel drive uphill to battle. But this is not bad at all. This is only about a mile back to my car. Well, let's see how it goes today. One of the biggest indicators of forest recovery after a fire is wildflowers to start, but then you'll see a lot of aspens. Last time I was up here, all these little aspens down here looked green, just like grass, not like actual aspens. I had no idea that they were actually growing. But if we look in here, that same thing used to be green, just like this grass all the way back in here. Now, I'm not sure if you can tell by this video, those are actually brand new aspens growing in these trees here. awesome thing to see. Forest restoration. There's a moose running. Close encounter with a moose. Big guy. Hopefully my camera caught that. Oh, that is so good to see. That is so good to see. I haven't seen a moose up here in a long time. I scared the poor guy. He was just eating. That's why I'm expecting to see a lot in here. Lots of moose. They like to eat aspens, all the little new green that you see in here. I bet you I'll run into him later too. He ran in the direction that I'm going to come back from. So hopefully he's not scared again. But also still nice. Alright, that is a moose print. That right there. You see these over here. Oh, those look like deer prints. But look at this moose one. He is so big. Here is my foot. And I'm a size 13 in men's. It's as big as the front of my foot. So the two concepts of God's steadfast love being faithfulness and mercy. Obviously we see faithfulness and his plan ever since the start of everything, ever since the creation. But his mercy, that is huge. It is holy, separate from everything else. I don't know who else has as much mercy as God does, because nobody else does. What does God's mercy look like? The obvious is the sacrifice of Jesus for our sins. Now, my life group and I this week went over Ephesians 1. And there's a concept in there about unity. And that really, I think that really gets at a good part of what God's mercy looks like when it's applied. I was almost going to walk past this. It's interesting. The only way I recognize here is there's a sign right there. It tells people to not drive back there, or at least it did before the fire. Last time I was up here, all of this was burnt. There was some yellow, some other stuff. There's a tree coming back to life in there. These trees, new baby aspens. Hey, moose. So, before that sign was there, we used to be able to drive all the way back into here. Some people camped right here. I wasn't too much of a fan of that. But the time for all these aspens were here. Let's see if I can find it. I think it's this over here. Yeah. This is one area you could just walk back in. My very first actual campsite. Oof. See, this used to flow more. I'm still kind of standing right in it. Oof. It used to be a full creek. Now it's a little more boggy. Used to be able to go right up to there. This is very cool. Right up to there. This is very cool to see aspens growing in here, and all the grass and all the, even if these are technically considered weeds, there's still flowers growing. So it's awesome to see it coming back. And this is in 5 years. Let's see what it's like in another 5. I just checked my phone to see the last pictures I had here. Came here 3 years ago, almost to the month. 3 years ago in May. It's June now, first weekend of June. This all was not here. The green, it was dead grass. These aspens were not here. All of this was dirt. You know, we're talking about God's steadfast love, and part of that being His mercy. And part of His mercy is, as we hit on in our study group this week, is His adoption of us. You know, adoption isn't just a, hey, you are as if one person of the family. Adoption is, hey, you are part of the family. It's not a simile, it is a fact. There's a big part of that adoption process that God puts us through, that I think out here can be a very good visual for, especially with this here. I'll put up some pictures of what this looked like when it was burned. And then, if I have any pictures of it from when I first got here, when I was 18. I'm 34. I'll put pictures up of here when I was 18, if I still have them. But this is it. This is my first campsite as an adult. But there's still more to go. We still haven't made it to our halfway point. And it is close to 1, if not later. So, it's time to leave this campsite and keep pushing forward. coming through here, I'm noticing one thing for the very first time. Again, 3 years ago, up here was all burnt, all black, all like that. But right next to that, this is the first sign I'm seeing. Baby trees, other than baby aspens. Pull back and you look, they're just all around. There's something just very cool happening up here. There is going to be an entirely new forest up here. This is what I like. Solitude. In the middle of nowhere. At a place called Beaver Meadows. Or Beaver Ponds. There's lots of those. It's 3. I just spent some nice time just talking to God. And I have some pretty nice views here too. The only noise that's out here is the noise of the frogs down by the creek. That's Little Beaver Creek down there. I'll be following it back, mostly downhill, but I don't want to leave up here. There are birds everywhere. There are hummingbirds that I hear. There are birds flying past me into all these trees. I'm just waiting for a moose to stand up down there. Some very good quality time. Not sure if you saw that, but with the birds. But, oop, 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 oop. There we go. but also great quality time with God. This is where you can talk to Him, truly reach out. Just listen to all this out here. Understand all this out here. All this is natural stuff. Creation from God. And while we are also God's creation, created in His image, most importantly, because of our fallen nature, we do have troubles in the city where lots of humans are concentrated. And that's kind of part of today's video. I've been talking about this place, these places where I've been to, and we're finding now how they're being restored after a huge destructive fire. Well, restoration is a huge part of God's steadfast love. It's part of His mercy. That's something that we can see out here. That mountain is called Crown Point. I never realized I could see it from here. Crown Point is pretty important to me. That is a place that my grandfather spoke about a lot. And my grandfather was a big part of how my faith came about. On this trip, we see restoration of the forest. And it's such a good comparison to how God's steadfast love works for us. He adopts us into His family. And through Jesus, we are justified. And as part of the process, we are being restored. I'll take out here as an example. The Cameron Peak fire was, and I think still is, the largest wildfire in Colorado history. A big part of that is our forests were sick. I'm going to stay off my soapbox about how it hasn't been managed for now. But these trees, you see these very, very burnt ones. It caught fire so easily, and everything was super dry because the land was sick. Now, we hear about the land being sick a few times in the Bible. There is some stuff to that, but I want to just stick with the sickness in our land here. These trees were diseased with pine beetles and termites. In the same way, we as humans, though created in God's image, are diseased with sin. Hey, moose. getting ready to go into some aspens. That'd be the last thing I want, is walk in there without a moose knowing. And so, because we are diseased with sin, we must be restored. You know, many people don't like to accept that we sin. That's kind of the whole thing in the first place, that people want to do what they want, when they want. I think the first thing that we have to realize is it's our posture to God. God, the Creator, that many people, many sinners know as the Creator. But they refuse to treat Him as such. When God adopts us, we can see a process very similar to what we see with these wildfires out here. A lot of stuff was burnt away. All the bad stuff, the sin. But over time, Jesus restores us to something much better than what we were before. You might be asking yourself, well, Don, what does this have to do with God's steadfast love? Take a step back and look at this. The Creator of the universe, who is sovereign over the universe, over everything, since the beginning of time, has been faithful to us humans, always working to have a relationship with us. His first intention with us was at the Garden of Eden. You saw that He was with Adam and Eve right there immediately after the first sin. While He did establish punishment, discipline, He also started working on a plan to save us, to bring us back to Him. This is God, Yahweh, God of the universe, Creator, Alpha and Omega, Jesus. Instead of erasing the earth, He made a plan for those who were created in His image. a size 13. New time. I noticed that the last time I was recording, at least recording what to say, there were a ton of bushes with a ton of ticks. So that area, it's not maintained. Maybe I can do a video on what stewardship looks like. That way we can maybe send it to the Forest Service out here, because that trail was more like a game trail. The only tracks that I saw on it were moose tracks. No people. Saw some bear droppings, so that was interesting. Being out in the middle of nowhere. My total mileage for right now is 12.5 miles. I am back to this place. I first said that the hiking was going to get steep because of the four-wheel drive road. It is in fact my bedtime because it's 8 o'clock. But I have probably another half hour, 45 minutes before I get back to my car. So I need to finish up what I'm talking about here. Where I left off was talking about how we can see God's faithfulness over time. We see that from the very first covenant that he made with Abraham. He promised Abraham that he would make his descendants, Israel, countless like the dusts of the sand, or the number of stars, that sort of stuff. I like those comparisons. But he also made a promise that through Abraham's descendants, the world would be blessed. And we follow the lineage, and that happened when Jesus was born. We see God's loving kindness, steadfast love, his faithfulness, his mercy, and what he did to save us, sacrificing his own son. Everybody in the world, most people in the world, know the verse, for God gave his only begotten son. People know it. Not everybody is believing in it. That's one thing I hope this channel can do for some of you who are questioning your faith. See his faithfulness. See his loving kindness ever since the beginning. But also see his mercy, his love, his goodness. All these things are what the Hebrew word of steadfast love represents. Faithfulness and mercy are the two big ones that I wanted to focus on today, because his mercy is always more than what it should be and what we deserve. Imagine what is happening out here, happening inside you. You know, the first time that you accept Jesus as your Savior and you really try to get that personal relationship with him, it might question your worldview. It might tear everything down that you know about the world. It might set it on fire. Like I said, we can see what the result of this is when we look close. This was all part of Colorado's largest wildfire in history 5 years ago. Look at all the green that's coming back. These aspens showing up within 5 years is amazing. They will continue to grow. Just like we need to continue to grow in Jesus. Yes, it might burn away some of what you made part of yourself in the past. But just like how God is working out here to restore this area from that devastating fire, He is working to restore you, to have a relationship with you, a relationship that lasts for eternity. Alrighty, just made it back to the campground area. Less than a mile to my car. There's a reason why I need a bigger zoom lens, because there's some deer over that way that I just will not be able to get with this lens. Thanks for joining me on this first episode. Again, it's all new to me. I'm trying to learn. Today, I just wanted to focus on the point of God's steadfast love. He is always there for you. He has done so much for you. If you are a believer and you are struggling to remember that, never forget, go into the Psalms. Go into Exodus, where God explains His steadfast love. I'm thinking for future videos, I am going to use more scripture. Like I said, I wanted to focus on this. Today was an amazing day. It's a great day to just be with God in the wilderness and see what I was wanting to tell you all about in action. Alright guys, almost back to my car. Thank you again for joining me on this first video. I'm very excited. When you are out in nature, you experience God. And it was fun. Fun to listen to Him tell me how to go about through the day. My car is right up around the corner. I'll put my mile stats in the description. Right now I'm at 13.5 miles. I started at 10:30 today. It is about 8:30. So not too bad considering I'm also filming. Thanks again guys, and I'll see you next time.